All right, everybody. Welcome to the Dose Leprechauns podcast. We are your hosts, Jason and Nate Hendricks, the Dose Leprechauns. Thank you guys for joining us. Today's the Orange Bowl. Could not be more excited. We're pumped up. We're ready to go. And we're excited for a good game, a competitive game, but ultimately, hopefully an Irish victory. I think we're feeling pretty good about that. We're going to get into that game, the breakdown a little bit. But before we do that, we are very much honored today to be joined by the president of the Maxwell Football Club, Mr. Mark Wolpert. Mark, how are you today?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me, guys.
No, it's absolutely our pleasure. So yesterday, we obviously were on YouTube, on X, on Facebook, anywhere you have any kind of internet and social media presence. And we all got to see Coach Marcus Freeman of the Notre Dame Fighting Irish receive the prestigious Munger Award for Coach of the Year. And not only was it the award that he won, but it was presented by a Notre Dame legend in Lou Holtz. So before we get into that cool part of the story, can you give us a little breakdown of what enables somebody to even be in the running or be considered for the Coach of the Year award, the Munger Award? And on top of that, what made Marcus Freeman the choice at the end of the day?
Well, that's a great question. So, we have a variety of awards at the college and NFL and high school levels. But with respect to the college awards, for the player awards, we have a national selection committee. So it all starts with watch lists early in the summer. It carries through our national selection committee. We'll take that big watch list group, whittle it down to semifinalists, and then the semifinalists will go out to voting. So there's two different rounds of voting. The coaches work a little bit differently. We don't have a preseason watch list for coaches. So when our committee meets to do semifinalists for the Maxwell Memorial Awards, we also discuss candidates for the Munger. And we'll put a short list together. As we get to the front end of November, we'll put a semifinals group together. That could be anywhere from, depending on the year, it could be 12 to 18 coaches. That'll go out for vote. That'll get whittled down to normally like 5 or 6 by the beginning of December. A second vote will take place. And then, then the winner will be selected at the end of December, early January each year. The situation with Coach Freeman is that our selection committee really felt that Notre Dame has made huge strides, and the coaching staff as a whole, Coach being at the top of that, but his assistants, his coordinators have really done an amazing job, not only in game X and O, but with preparation. I've been around football for a long time. One of the best coached Notre Dame teams I've seen in decades. And not a knock on anybody that came before them. It's just a simple fact. The way their game plan and execution throughout this last half of the season has really improved each week. And, the penultimate part of that was their win over Georgia last week. I mean, they were playing a very good football team in Georgia, and they won just about every facet of that game.
I really appreciate you walking us through that process. Related to that, did at the beginning of the year, I'm sure I remember Coach Freeman being a part of many watch lists and things of that nature, and a lot of hype coming into the season and things like that. Did the NIU game have any sort of deterrent for you guys in terms of, hey, this is going to knock him down the ladder or whatever you guys decide to do? Did that loss have anything to do with it? And then on the flip side of that, did the bounce back, right, these last 12 games, have anything to do with that selection?
I don't think it's the loss, right? It's how you react to the loss. Because in today's world in college football, I don't care who you are. I mean, you could be Notre Dame, you could be Alabama, you could be anybody. Even some of the great dynasty teams at these big schools and these legendary college football teams, they can have a hiccup in the middle of the year. And a lot of times it's when you least expect it. In today's world, with a 12-team playoff, that doesn't doom your chances. Back a couple years ago, you could have an undefeated ranked number 1 team going into week 10. They get a bad loss, and they're not in the 4. So the playoff affords everybody the opportunity for that, that trip up. But I really believe, and I know our selection committee staff believes, it's not that you lost the game. It's how you react to that, how your players bounce back. I mean, a good comparison would be Ohio State losing to Michigan, a crushing blow for them. and then they've just kind of put it together in the subsequent weeks, and they're playing at the top of their ability right now. So Notre Dame every week post that NIU game got better and better and better.
And I think that speaks volumes about Coach Freeman and the job he's done with this team and having us here in the Orange Bowl, the semifinals against Penn State.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to remind everybody we're joined by Executive Director of the Maxwell Football Club. I apologize for getting that wrong first. Mark Wolpert. He's talking about the Munger Award. Coach Freeman obviously winning that award yesterday. Mark, can you talk about your job with the NCFAA, what that is, and what you?
Yeah, sure.
Organization.
So the NCFAA is the organization. It's called the National College Football Awards Association, and we're the governing body for all the major college awards. So starting with the Heisman, the Maxwell, the Bednarik, the Davey O'Brien, the Doak Walker, the Bolitnikoff, the Thorpe, you go down the list. All the major awards are members of the organization. A lot of our member awards participate in the Home Depot College Football Awards show that people are familiar with. That's usually broadcast early December. We do the announcements of all our major college winners at that television event. But this organization was created just over 30 years ago to enact minimum standards for the awards. So how we conduct business, we have general policies and procedures. We have oversight for all the awards so that we don't have outliers. Okay. So we don't have one award just doing this and everybody else is doing something different. So if someone chooses to be a member of the NCFAA and they're invited to do so, we expect them to meet minimum standards. We go through audits. We go through reviews. We offer assistance to awards that might be lacking in various areas. And it could be anything from website to event to voting processes to how they do their analytics. It's really all encompassing. So I've been very fortunate to be able to serve as the president of that organization since 2009 and get to work with some really great people over there.
That's awesome. Now, you talked about some of the other awards, Is that a similar selection process in terms of there's a committee that kind of looks at the body of work? Or is there one that you oversee that's a little bit different, a little bit more unique? Talk to us about some of those other awards and what makes those unique and some thoughts that go into those selections.
But I think the great thing about college football awards is there's such a variety and everybody has a little bit of a different flavor of the way they do things. And the NCFAA governance, I don't want to paint an incorrect picture here. It's there to offer a foundation, okay? But we allow awards to kind of have their own color to what they do. A lot of them are, committee-based selection, then they go to voting. I guess the common thread is most of the major awards have 2 rounds of voting, semifinalists and finalist voting. The exception to that would be the Heisman. The Heisman has one larger round of voting. They are a member, a longtime member of the NCFAA. I'm really blessed to work with them. Tim Henning up there, and Rob Whalen, who run the operation, are just great people. They do a really good job. But they're the oldest college award. They go back to 1935. The Maxwell's pretty old too. We go back to 1937. So they're the 2 player, the outstanding player of the year awards. We have a really good relationship with them. Some years we might have the same guy. Sometimes we have a different players. And I kind of truthfully, I like when we have different players. But our selection process varies a little bit different than theirs. We rely heavily on 2 things. We have a partner in PFF, Pro Football Focus, where we get all our player metrics from, all our statistical analytics. We have a staff here, Rich Sermonello, who's our director of college awards, and a young guy named Don Mamaroso, who handles all our statistical analysis. And we gather that information with our colleagues from PFF. We have a selection committee meeting by Zoom these days because we have people all over the country. So it'll be myself, it'll be Rich, it'll be Phil Steele, it'll be people from PFF and some other notable college football experts, and we'll spend hours and hours and hours and vet through candidates. We look at it from the perspective of, okay, the numbers do matter. The numbers tell a story, but they don't tell the whole story. And I like looking at the numbers personally, but I'm a football coach, so I like looking at film. I like to look and see what the intangibles are with that player, the eye test, because sometimes in some positions, for sure, the numbers don't tell the whole story. What kind of leadership ability does that have? How does it show up on the football field? And that can translate over to the coaching too. I mean, it's very evident that Marcus Freeman is a strong leader at the top of his organization. He has other strong leaders on his staff. I mean, Al Golden, I'm just use Al as an example because I know him personally. One of the finest people I know in football, and doing a great job for Notre Dame. But Coach Freeman's built his entire staff like that, and there's no mystery to it. When you look at the dynasty programs, and I'm talking about going way back, go back to Bud Wilkinson at Oklahoma. When you look at Notre Dame in the early 70s, when you look at Oklahoma under, and you look at Oklahoma and Nebraska, you look at Alabama under Nick Saban, the common thread is those teams compete with themselves. What happens on a Saturday is an end result. It's the end of that process, okay? So they're competing at a level that they set for themselves. They don't worry about what the other team's level is. And I'm seeing that at Notre Dame now. Coach has really made an impression. He really opened my eyes up this year. When you look at them play, they are fundamentally sound. They are aggressive. They hit. They're physical. The schematics of what they do are very well thought out. And, it's a credit to him. It's a credit to Al and the other guys on the staff there. It translates to his players because you can see it on the field with his players.
It's funny. Just to get to that point real quick, you talk about how it translates and what they do off the field. I've seen a lot of players on social media that played at Notre Dame just recently that have said, even before things got going really well, that they would love to play for Coach Freeman. They'd run through a wall for Coach Freeman. So I think you guys hit the nail on the head with giving Coach Freeman the Munger Award. I obviously, as diehard Notre Dame fans, we're going to think that anyways. But I think if we were looking at it from the outside in, we'd probably have a similar opinion. So I really appreciate what you guys do with that. And I think that the video itself was just really special. So thanks for making that happen and making our day for sure. That.
Yeah, that was pretty cool how that all worked out. Coach Holtz had been a winner of our Reg Bagnell Award some years ago. And our board chairman, Sean Wooden, is a Notre Dame. He's a Fighting Irish guy. Played and played a long time in the NFL. And Sean and I were talking. We started doing those video hits this year. We've never done that before. So we started it with our National High School Player of the Year, who's a young man from Duncanville, Texas High School. He's going to Alabama. I called Kalen DeBar. Kalen got on the phone with the kid. We did the hit. We got a lot of great vibe back off of that. And we did it with the Sean Alexander Award, which is another one of our awards. And then ultimately I said, man, if we can get Coach Holtz to do this, that would be really special. So our friends over at the Media Relations Department over at ND helped us get that together. And that all came together real quick. You guys, you're a couple of, 45 minutes away from a playoff game here. So a busy week in South Bend. So they helped us out a lot. Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about the gala, the Maxwell Football Club Awards Gala. Can you talk about that, where it's going to be, what it's going to be, how people can get involved, all those things?
So this is year 88 for our Maxwell Awards. I've been doing it a long time. For the first 86 years or 85 years, we were in the Northeast United States, either in Philadelphia or Atlantic City, New Jersey. After COVID, we lost our venue partners up here. We were very fortunate to have a casino called Mohegan, Pennsylvania, host us for a year. They did a great job, but they're up in the mountains up in Pennsylvania. It's a little dicey doing a big major event in Wolpert, Pennsylvania, up in the Pocono Mountains during the winter. So we had been toying around with the idea of going down to the Hall of Fame in Atlanta. So now we moved last year to the College Hall of Fame, It's right in Centennial Park in downtown Atlanta. It's kind of the hub of college football. And you have Mercedes-Benz Stadium there. You have a lot of venues outside the hall. I mean, the hall, if you haven't been there, it's a must-see thing if you're a college football fan. It's just an incredible place. And around it, there's a lot of things for people to do. So we decided we're going to give it a shot. We moved down there last year, a big move. Our fan base that would normally attend the event up here doesn't always translate to going down to Atlanta for an event. So we kind of reworked everything. But we're in year 2 down there. It'll be March 14th. It'll be at the College Football Hall of Fame. And the way it works is we open up the entire Hall of Fame. We have a big reception, open bar, food, stations, hors d'oeuvres. People can mingle. They can see the exhibits at the hall. Then everyone moves downstairs to what they call the field room. And we have a theater with a stage set up in there. And we actually do the awards and brought, we'll do a live stream of that. So, I'm sure that our guys will get the links over to you so you can see it. Our event is open to the public. Tickets are available and on sale. They are available at MaxwellFootballClub.org. So if you could just hit
Mark,
yeah, I'm here.
Sorry to interrupt. Going to be one of us lost signal. I'm not sure who, but we're back now.
Okay.
So sorry about that.
No, that's okay. So we'll be March 14th in Atlanta at the College Football Hall. Tickets are at MaxwellFootballClub.org and just go under Maxwell Awards Gala. You can click on that. You can buy tickets right online, and it's a tremendous event. All our winners that we've named are committed to come. So we'll have Travis Hunter, we'll have Ashton Jante, we'll have Coach Freeman, we'll have Coach Mac Brown, who's getting our Bagnell Award for contributions. We have some amazing young Colin Simmons from Texas, defensive end, is winning the Sean Alexander. We have a National High School Player of the Year.
Wow.
We have a girls flag National Player of the Year for the first time. We'll be announcing her next week, who she is. But and then NFL. Our NFL voting is closing up right now. We'll be announcing our NFL players this year. The other really cool thing this year is we're doing a contributions to HBCU football, and Coach Willie Jeffries from South Carolina State, just a legend in HBCU football, is going to be getting that award. So it's a great night. There's a lot of dignitaries there. You can get up and close and personal, have some great food, good time. And we welcome anybody who would like to come. Hit our website, reach out to the office. If anybody has any questions, we'd love to have you with us.
What you did last time? Okay. So what we're going to, since we've had some choppy internet here, we're going to put that in the show notes. All that stuff will be in the show notes.
Okay.
We did have a question from our audience. Fighting Irish Faithful wants to know, how much influence does the performance of past winning coaches influence the selection of this year's winning coach?
Wow, that's a good question. We kind of look at these things at that present year in that smaller sampling, and I'll tell you why. Because there's been some amazingly talented legend coaches. Okay, I'll use Nick Saban for an example because he's the most recent, on Mount Rushmore of the coaches.
Sure.
Any given year, Coach Saban could be considered for the Munger Award and could have won it a lot of years. But the measuring stick at Alabama during his tenure was, truthfully, it was higher than some other schools. So, if he caught a loss or it almost like those guys need to be perfect. So you can't have the same guy over and over and over again. And I think when we're looking for impact, and that's what Coach Freeman brought to the table this year. He brought impact.
That's great, and I think that makes a lot of sense. You need to see how people can mix it up and how they can improve on their previous success. So that's just now. Again, it might have been a little bit of a cutout on our end, but did you say Coach Freeman will be at the Maxwell Awards Gala?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the plan is for him to be there right now.
Okay.
We've got everything announced with Notre Dame. We'll wait till the Fighting Irish are finished playing playoff games, and then we'll coordinate with his schedule. But I know he's going to try to make an effort to be there if he can.
One last thing I'd like you to touch on before we let you go, because I know you got a busy schedule ahead of you. This is true. This is near and dear to my heart. I work in a local park and rec agency, and we run a lot of flag football leagues. We just started one this year specifically for the ladies. Talk about the NFL Foundation and how you and this organization are growing girls high school flag football across the country.
Yeah, we've been really blessed to partner with the NFL Foundation and the league. Roman Oben, who directs our grassroots programs over there, and Dan Van Norton and their staff work closely with us. There's a lot of great opportunities for young ladies who are interested in the sport of football. We want to help foster that. We kicked off in our own backyard here in the Philly area. We have a program called the Mini Max that's existed going back to the 1950s. Last year, we honored girls flag players for the first time. So it was a really neat thing.
Love it.
And,
Love it.
The gravity that came out of that was, okay, we had 12 girls with 150 boys being recognized out of 3 states. And what ultimately happened was there was so much momentum that we're actually having a separate girls Mini Max flag honor, program this year. The national program, each NFL team gets the opportunity to nominate a candidate. The candidates are reviewed by our selection committee, a different selection committee, obviously, for flag, mostly made up of women who are in athletics or in business. And they vet all those candidates, and they select one young lady as the winner. And, on field is really important in that. But we also look at, what that student does in the classroom, what they're doing to serve their community. And I can tell you, all 31 of these young women were just amazing. So we're uniquely blessed to be able to be involved in girls flag football and hope to help them to have further opportunities. The other thing we do is we drive a leadership program for both boys and girls and explain to them how to capitalize on leadership skills and how that translates, to success in life. And, I know a lot right now. The NFL is really given amazing opportunities to women in the sport, to work in the league, to have opportunities in coaching, to have opportunities working in front offices, football operations. And I'm a big advocate of that. I have a college-age daughter who's looking into that kind of career path. And I want her to have the opportunities that girls and women like 15 years ago did not have.
It's just such a huge thing, and I just can't thank you guys enough for doing that. I know for a fact that these ladies really appreciate the opportunity to get I hate to say it this way, but the spotlight, right? And you don't see that happening in a lot of these sports, and I know it's such a growing sport that it's great that you guys are polarizing that with all these opportunities. So I can't wait to follow that along. When Hunter, your staff member, told me about that, I was fired up, man. I started looking at it right away. So I appreciate it.
It's a really important aspect of what we're doing right now. We're going to do everything we can to give opportunities to those girls.
All right. Well, I appreciate you taking the time, Mark. This has been awesome. It's really an honor to speak to you. And I just want to thank Hunter of your staff for making this all possible, bringing us on board and helping out with the gala.
We're really blessed to be able to be with you tonight. And like I said, anybody who wants to come down to the gala, hit our website. We'd love to have you with us.
Well, I'm going to take you up on that. We're definitely going to take you up on that, and we hope to see you there and share the college football information. And we'll talk to you soon. Hopefully you enjoy the game tonight. Yeah. Hopefully we enjoy it more. But thank you very much again for the time. And we'll put all the information regarding the gala in our notes, and we'll continue to push it out because I really would love any Notre Dame fan that has the means to go to be able to make that. I think it's a special day.
Yeah, well, we appreciate that. Thank you, guys, and go Irish.
Oh, I love it. Yes, sir. Go Irish. Thank you.
All right, boys. Have a good night. Take care.
You too. Take care. All right. Thank you guys for bearing. So we're all over the place a little bit with the internet here, guys. We apologize. Just to let you know, we're obviously at a different location. We're at a local bar here that we want to give a huge shout out to here in Goodyear, Arizona, which is where Nate and I live. Big thumbs down to Quantum Fiber, our internet provider, for making it to where we had to go to an alternate location, not just to record, but to watch our beloved Irish. So I'm probably going to get kicked out of this bar within the first 5 seconds of the game, but we'll take our chances. So we're going to try to get through this really quick because of the spotty Wi-Fi, Nate. Talk a little bit about the game. What are your expectations? What are you looking for?
Yeah, I think Notre Dame matches up really well with Penn State, like they did with Georgia. Both teams are physical teams. It's the Notre Dame-Penn State matchups that you've seen all throughout time, basically. Both these teams are having a bit of a special run through the playoffs. I think everyone wrote off Penn State, I'd say respectfully, because, they haven't fared well against teams that they should be competing with.
Right.
The Oregons, the Ohio State. They should beat some of those teams, but ultimately they didn't. I was looking through their schedule. I have been looking through their schedule for the past week or so. And, it's hard to pinpoint what their biggest win is. There's a lot of matchups where, hey, they had a close game against Ohio State. They almost beat Oregon. They were close with Oregon. They were competitive with Oregon. But they don't have that big win that Notre Dame does. They don't have that win at Kyle Field, Texas A&M.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have that win in the Coliseum against USC. They don't have this one. They haven't won 12 straight. That's just the hard facts. They're having a good playoff run. Notre Dame's probably the hottest team in the playoffs. I'll go on record saying that. They're the hottest team in the playoffs over Ohio State. So I have Notre Dame winning tonight, obviously, but I have us winning bigger than what the spread is right now and what you probably think. Yeah, I have us winning 31-17, possibly 28-13. I just think Notre Dame matches up perfectly with this team and can really have fun with them.
So if you had heard the interview, we were talking about the gala, the Maxwell Awards gala in Atlanta in March. It's March 14th at the College Football Hall of Fame. So it looks like we're going to have 2 trips to Atlanta here in the next few months because we are going to Atlanta if we get this game tonight. My wife is actually listening and watching, and I don't think she knew that we were planning on doing that, but obviously,
hopefully she can't hear.
I was only 9 or 8 actually when the Irish won their last natty, and I was watching from a little tiny TV in my dad's room. And I thought we would have another chance to play for a national championship and have a realistic opportunity sooner than 30-something years later. So I'm not missing this opportunity if we get there, even though I do think that Marcus has us on a trajectory to be able to do a lot more than just one, than just having one opportunity to win a national championship.
I'm going to respond to this comment by Wayne. It says, is Abdul Carter playing? The defenseman for
is he playing hockey?
Defensive lineman for Penn State. I've heard so many conflicting reports. I've heard some like, oh, he's good to go. Franklin earlier said, hey, he's good to go, but he's going to be a game time decision. So I think he's really just trying to play with Notre Dame's head.
He is.
I don't think he's going to – I think he'll play, but he's not going to be the threat that he usually is.
Well, yeah, Abdul Carter is an absolute monster. He's a tremendous athlete, tremendous defensive end. They line him up inside, outside. They drop him back sometimes in coverage. The guy is an absolute phenom. And, yeah, he is going – if he plays the full game, he's going to make things difficult. But, Anthony Knapp's already taking care of Nick Scorton. He's already taking care of the Georgia defense. I'm not super concerned if he plays or not. It'd be a little bit more comfortable maybe if he didn't play, but we're fine. I would say from the offensive side of the ball, there's a couple of things. I think Riley's going to have a franchise heritage, what do you want to call it, spotlight game tonight. I think this is Riley's chance to say, hey, all these accolades of being a winner and all these different things, those are great, but I want to put this team on my back, and I want to win this game for this team and this university. So,
and they're going to need it more than ever.
Oh, 100%.
You saw in the early 2010 or the late 2010s with Ian Book.
Yep.
That those were his teams. Those are Ian Book's teams. He was.
Did you just compare Ian Book to Riley Leonard?
No, but I will say Ian Book had to put the team on his back multiple times in his time at Notre Dame. That's what we need out of Riley Leonard tonight. Riley Leonard can cement himself as one of the greatest Notre Dame quarterbacks in history. I'll go on record with saying that, because with a win tonight, he gets Notre Dame to their first natty in, like you said, almost 40 years.
Yep. I think if Riley can – I think there's a couple things I'm going to be looking for very early on, and that's to see – first of all, the biggest thing for me is going to be, what does Jeremiah Love look like, right? He's probably going to have a brace on the knee, but does that – when he makes that first jump cut, how does it look? Does he go down? Does he keep going? Can he take a hit and keep going like he usually does? Can you hurdle somebody? I mean, all those kind of things is what I'm going to be looking for right off the bat. I'm also going to be looking to see how Riley does, if Abdul Carter does play, how he does against this, or how he do with the zone read. I think that Denbrock made some very interesting comments during the week. He said, I just need to let these guys play football. And to me, that means he's going to let Riley sling it. And I think Riley's going to have to prove that we can be more than a running team. And I don't mean just running from Jeremiah Love. I mean running from Riley, from Jeremiah Love, from Jadarian Price, Naeus Williams. And a guy that I'd like to see get some love today is Devin Ford.
100%.
He's a guy that got, let go, if you will, from Penn State. So he's got something to prove. He's got a chip on his shoulder, and I can't wait to see him smash. I'm also very excited, and I'm going to be looking to see how our O-line holds up against their D-line. Their D-line doesn't get a lot of credit, but they actually are pretty good. They got a lot of pressure. Not a lot of guys that you're going to hear on Sundays most likely, but a lot of guys that can still get the job done. See, Jeff said to go right at Carter early. I agree. Yeah, I'd say take him out of the game early. If he is in there, let's go at him and see what he's got. If he's going to play, then okay, we know that. We need to adjust, whatever the case may be. We're watching kind of the pregame right now, and I just saw another person I wanted to talk about, which I think is really from the offensive side of the ball and what they're going to show to Notre Dame is going to be the key to this game for us on defense, and that's Mr. Tyler Warren, the all do everything, all H-back, tight end, running back, fullback, tailback, any back, quarterback, halfback. I mean, any back you can play, he plays and he plays it well. There's no other way to put it. He's a weapon. He's going to get out. He can make a play in space. He can challenge corners. They run him sometimes. I think he's thrown it for a touchdown pass. He's a phenomenal football player, and they're going to use him. But I think that if they become too one-dimensional, like if we become too one-dimensional, they rely just on Warren, then they're going to have a long night, and we're going to be able to shut them down. I think that you're going to see a lot of bracket coverage on Warren. Xavier Watts coming over to help, Adon Schuler coming over to help, and I think he's going to have a long night. I don't think it's going to go well for him, but we'll find out right off the bat. As soon as we get the ball, we'll know what they're going to throw at us. As soon as we get the ball, we'll see if Riley's going to be able to play some football tonight.
Yeah, and I think it's a smart strategy for Penn State to throw to Warren.
Why not?
He's the best. He's one of the best tight ends in football right now, and he's going to get drafted like it.
They do have Penn State does have two really good running backs, Singleton and Carter. Both guys that can – I'm sorry, Singleton and Allen. Both guys that can really get after it, run the ball. They play well. They run well after contact. So our guys are going to have to tackle like they always do. But Penn State, just like Georgia, just like Indiana, will never have faced a more physical defense than they'll face tonight against Notre Dame. Just like the shirt says, shout out Sports Crack, 4 quarters of FU football. There's a little shamrock. Obviously Pat Coogan kind of made this shirt popular. And again, shout out to Sports Crack, Matt Fairchild, for sending us this freaking awesome shirt. Check it out on sportscrack.com. Yeah, good stuff. Let's see. Karen Wolf Larson says, Jason, I live a mile from Indy campus. It is pathetic that the playoff games and the championships are only on ESPN. These are local fans who can't afford to sign up on an ESPN. It's just a shame. I agree with you. I think it's sad that in this day and age of college football, everything's ESPN or ABC, and if you don't have certain packages, you can't watch certain games. I hope at some point that changes, but unfortunately, money is an evil thing, and money drives a lot of these decisions, obviously. Maybe you can go to a local bar or something and check it out. It sucks that you can't watch it on ESPN. That makes my heart hurt for you, because I really think this is going to be an all-time classic game. I'm not kidding. I think that when I look at Penn State and then I look at Georgia to me I was like, oh man, this is going to be rough. SEC team, SEC champion, number 1 strength of schedule in the country, played everybody and anybody. Penn State's lost to Ohio State. And by the way, they played USC. USC played them incredibly close to the point. Right. So USC, obviously we played them close as well. But to me, those last couple of scores that they got, you could call them throwaway if you want to, but realistically, after about the third quarter, I don't think that, or early in the fourth quarter, I don't think that game was too much in question, whereas Penn State and SC went down to the wire. So you look at the common opponents, and I feel like we match up pretty well there.
And I think James Franklin did the number one thing he couldn't have done, which is piss off Marcus Freeman.
Dude, seriously.
Signetti did it and found out the hard way. You don't want to do that.
Yeah.
And then, the chips kept falling. Kirby Smart was even talking a little bit. I respect Kirby Smart, so I didn't get offended. But, it's like you're James Franklin, man. You're asking, well, why are people not joining a conference? Everybody needs to be in a conference.
We're in a conference. It's fine. We're in a conference. We're in the independent conference. We're going to stay in the independent conference forever because Notre Dame is independent. Let's go. Let's see what else you got on the game, Nate. What are some things that you'll see early on that you're like, either A, this is going to be a dog walk for us, or B, hold on to your pants, this is going to be a long one.
I want to see how our linebackers do against their running backs.
Okay.
I want to see who is on who. I want to see if Bowen's on Allen or Singleton, Kaiser on Allen or Singleton. I think if our linebackers do fine and create a good enough push with the D-line, we'll be 100% fine because I have 100% trust in the corners and the safety and our whole secondary that we're going to get it done. And it's crazy to think about, but I am looking forward to Notre Dame's special teams unit. Not just their punt return, kickoff return, but their punts, their kickoffs, because these guys are going down there to kill.
Yeah.
There's no other way to put it.
Somebody early on, I think it was our guy, Brett Boyson, said, I believe Bryce Young has a huge game tonight. You can go back to week 1 against Texas A&M. I've been saying all year, Bryce Young is a guy that should be out there on every frigging down on defense. Watch number 30 play. He's a monster. He's a phenom. He had a couple penalties last week, which I told Nate, I'm okay with those kind of penalties for playing aggressive. And he's a phenom, guys. Bryce Young, number 30, he'll have an impact in this game, and moving forward, he's going to have an impact in every game he plays in because he's special. If you don't know who he is, Bryant Young's son. That's all you need to know, right? And, lengthier. Jonah Walls, I predict an interception and at least one pump block. Becky Buchanan says, go Irish. Wayne Smith on YouTube says our linebackers will get tested tonight. That's no doubt. Jason Lynch says, I'm assuming he's talking about Franklin. And what was about talking about Freeman's hairline? Who even does that? That's silliness right there. But yeah. So, guys, 20 minutes till kickoff. We're still having a little bit of 34 minutes till kickoff. Sorry. Having a little bit of internet issues continuing in here, so we don't want to have that issue. I want to recap. So this is not our permanent podcast location. We had to ditch our house because Quantum Fiber Internet, big time thumbs down. Go spam their page because their internet caused us to have to come to a public location for the podcast and the game, which is putting everybody's life in danger with me watching a Notre Dame game in public. But it is what it is. And huge shout out to Tailgaters and Il Primo here in Goodyear, 530 North Estrella Parkway, Suite C5. They gave us a hat to wear on the podcast, so there they are. Super cool place. They were very accommodating, and we really appreciate them. Also, one last shout out to the Maxwell Football Club. Hunter and his team have been amazing in helping us get some of these guests on. We're going to be a part of the gala that they're going to have in Atlanta in March, and you'll be hearing a lot more about that. We want to see you guys at that as well if you absolutely have any way of doing so. That said, we'll be back in about 3.5 hours, maybe less, to talk about the game. Hopefully, we'll be having the Notre Dame post-game celebration. But either way, join us back. Well, not either way. Yeah, we're going to win. But if you guys join us back after the win so that we can celebrate together and start talking about the national championship game. With that, we're going to say go Irish, beat Penn State, Orange Bowl. Let's go.